all the crap that we're interested in.
Searching
for the truth. Exploring the unexplained. Investigating the paranormal. Subscribe now.
Hit the alert
button so you don't miss an episode.
Ow!
Welcome to The Truth
about beer.
and...
Everyone, welcome to The Truth About Beer, and we are your new hosts. I am Alice.
And I am Ivan. Today we will be talking about April Fool's Day, but first let's talk about our sponsor. All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at Project Y.
Okay.
Specifically, their podcast, the Ycast.
Interesting.
And it looks like they're really trying to kind of shake things up in the world of men's healthcare.
Yeah, I saw on their website they say they want to reinvent it.
Yeah, that's a bold statement.
It is.
So let's jump in and see what they're all about.
Sounds good.
So their podcast, the Ycast, it seems like it's really focused on men's health, which makes sense given their overall mission.
Right, and it's not just about giving information.
No,
They really want to motivate guys to be healthier.
Yeah, actually do something with this information.
Exactly, and not just one specific area either.
Yeah, they're looking at the whole picture.
Right.
What's going on at home, at work.
Fitness.
Mental health, relationships, you name it.
And medical stuff too.
Oh, yeah, of course, medical concerns too.
So it's a total approach.
Yeah, I like that.
And it's not just a one-way street.
What do you mean?
Well, they're not just talking at people. Okay.
They also want to learn from their listeners.
Interesting.
And use that to give really practical advice.
That makes sense.
So it's more of a conversation.
All right, so to get a better sense of what they're doing, let's take a look at some of their episodes.
Okay.
So one that caught my eye was about men's sexual performance.
Oh, wow.
And how it connects to overall health.
That's pretty direct.
Yeah. Not something you hear about every day.
Definitely not.
But important.
For sure.
Then there's an episode with Michelle Gillette.
Okay.
She's a functional medicine health coach.
Ah.
And they talk about things like longevity and relationship.
So it's zooming out a little bit?
Yeah, looking at the bigger picture.
I like that.
They also have an episode called Fueling the Modern Man.
Okay.
And that one gets into essential supplements.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they're giving some concrete advice there.
That's what people want, right?
So.
What can I actually do
Exactly.
to be healthier?
Yeah.
What else?
They had Rebecca Shocker on. Who's that?
She's a mindset coach.
Okay.
And they talked about building a healthier relationship with yourself.
That's so important.
It is.
That internal stuff.
Yeah.
It affects everything.
Absolutely.
What other guests have they had?
Well, they had Rick Wenner on.
Oh.
He's the VP of .ft.
It's like a fitness company.
Yeah, exactly. And they talked about general health and wellness and lifestyle stuff.
Pretty broad.
Yeah. But I think it's good to have that foundation.
Right.
And then they had Erica Johnson on.
Okay.
She's a nurse practitioner.
Right.
And they focused on men's mental health across different life stages.
It's from childhood to adulthood.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Because mental health, it's not just a one-time thing.
Oh, it's ongoing.
Right. It changes out your life.
Yeah.
They even talked about those GLP-1 weight loss medications.
Oh, yeah. Those are pretty popular right now.
Yeah, they are. And they had Dr. Rahul Dixon on to discuss those.
So they're keeping up with current medical stuff?
Yeah, it seems like it.
It's good.
And of course, their first episode was just introducing the hosts and the mission of Project Y.
All right, laying the groundwork.
Exactly.
So what do you think?
Well, I'm impressed by the range of topics.
Me too.
It's not just one narrow area of men's health.
No, it's the whole spectrum.
Right.
From physical stuff to mental and emotional well-being.
And lifestyle factors.
Yep, they're covering it all.
And they're bringing in all these expert guests.
Yeah, doctors, coaches, health professionals.
It makes it feel more credible.
Definitely.
You're getting information you can trust.
Right. It's not just random opinions.
Exactly.
So it seems like Project Y is really trying to make a difference with this podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
We're giving guys the information and resources they need.
To take control of their health.
Exactly.
So I guess the question for our listeners is this.
Okay.
What really spoke to you in all of this?
Yeah.
What felt most relevant to your own journey?
With your own well-being.
Right.
And what would you want to explore further?
Based on what you've heard about Project Y's approach.
Yeah, there's so much there.
There is.
So think about what resonates with you.
and maybe do some more digging on your own.
Exactly.
All right, that is our sponsor, Project Y. Make sure you visit the website projectynow.com.
Yeah. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to their podcast, The Ycast, on YouTube and Rumble. All right, so we got a fantastic question from one of our listeners. They were curious about, well, everyone has their favorite beers, right? But how do those beers actually get made?
Oh, that's a great one. So many different ways to tackle that.
Yeah, and it's a pretty big question because favorite beer could be anything, right? Like we could be talking about a light, crisp lager or a super hoppy IPA or a rich stout. I mean, the range is just enormous.
Totally. And each one of those styles, even within those styles, has its own unique kind of fingerprint,
Absolutely. So our mission today is to take you behind the scenes, kind of give you a peek into the world of brewing, and, well, maybe even help you understand what goes into making your own personal favorites so special.
Yeah, and I think what's cool is even though everyone's favorite is, subjective and all that, there's still this kind of shared core process, this journey from raw ingredients to that, final satisfying sip.
Right, right. So where do we even begin with that journey?
Well, I think the best place to start is with the heart of the operation. Mashing.
Okay, mashing. That seems kind of, I don't know, agricultural.
In a way, it is. It's basically where we take malted grains, usually barley, and we sort of coax out the sugars that are locked up inside,
Coax them out how?
soaking them in hot water. It activates these natural enzymes that convert the starches in the grain into fermentable sugars.
Ah, so it's like making a giant grain tea. And then the sugar in that is what eventually becomes the alcohol.
Exactly. That sugary liquid is called wort, and it's the foundation of our beer. But we got to separate it from the spent grain, right? That's where lautering comes in.
Lautering. Okay, is that like filtering?
Yeah, think of it like a really, really sophisticated filtering process.
Yeah.
We're basically separating the wort, which is now this clear, sweet liquid, from the leftover grain solids.
So after lautering, what's next?
Boiling. And this is where things start to get really exciting and, aromatic.
Ah, yeah, the boiling. I always think of like that classic beer smell when I think about the brewing process.
Right. And that smell, a lot of it comes from the hops we add during the boil.
The hops, right. So hops are added during boiling. What do they do?
Well, first off, boiling is essential for sanitation. It kills any unwanted microbes that could mess with fermentation. But the hops, they add bitterness, but also this incredible range of aromas and flavors.
So are all hops the same?
Oh, no, not at all. There are tons of different varieties, each with its own unique characters. Some are super citrusy, some are piney, some are floral, even earthy.
Wow. So how does the brewer know which hops to use?
Well, that's part of the art of brewing, right? Knowing which hops will work best for the style of beer they're making, and even the timing of when you add the hops during the boil matters.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, hops added early in the boil, they mostly contribute bitterness. But if you add them later, you get more of those volatile aromatic oils, those lovely smells and tastes.
So it's like the brewer is conducting this aromatic symphony with the hops during the boil. What happens after that?
Well, once the boil is done, we got to cool that wort down and fast. Because next up, we introduce the yeast.
Yeast, that's what actually makes the alcohol, right?
It is. But it's way more than just that.
Mhm.
See, different yeast strains have these, totally different metabolisms.
Metabolisms, what do you mean?
I mean, the way they process the sugars in the wort, and as they munch on those sugars, they produce not just alcohol and CO2, but also a whole bunch of other flavor compounds.
Flavor compounds, like what?
Oh, all sorts. Some yeasts produce fruity esters, some give you spicy phenols, some create a really clean profile so you get more of the malt and hop character.
That's wild. So the yeast is kind of like the secret ingredient that really shapes the beer's personality.
You got it. The choice of yeast is huge. It can make or break a beer.
And then after the yeast does its thing, what happens?
Well, then comes maturation, or conditioning. It's basically a resting period for the beer.
Resting period.
Yeah, it allows the flavors to mellow out, to integrate, get everything nice and balanced. And it can also help the beer clarify, get rid of any haze.
How long does that take?
It depends. Some beers are ready in a few weeks, some need months, even years. It all depends on the style and what the brewer is going for.
Okay, so to kind of sum things up here, it sounds like it's this amazing, intricate dance between the ingredients like the malt, the hops, the yeast, and then the brewer's process. The mashing, the boiling, the fermentation, all of that together is what creates the final product.
It's like a recipe, but with so many variables, and each choice the brewer makes impacts the final outcome.
So, to our listener who asked about their favorite beers, I think the takeaway here is that whatever you love about your go-to brew, whether it's that hoppy aroma, that smooth maltiness, the way it feels in your mouth, all of that is a direct result of the decisions made during the brewing process.
And that's what's so cool about beer, right? It's this blend of science and art, and it leads to this incredible diversity of flavors and styles.
And, I think it's fascinating now that we've kind of gone through this process. It makes me think differently about my own favorite beers. Like, I'm going to be paying attention to those details now,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what the brewer did to make it taste the way it does.
Yeah, and maybe next time you're having a beer with friends, you can kind of, impress them with your newfound brewing knowledge.
Exactly. And maybe they'll be inspired to think about their own favorite beers a little differently, too.
Cheers to that.
All right, everyone. Are we ready to get into today's topic?
Always ready.
Today, it's all about April Fool's Day, something I think we all have a pretty fun relationship with.
Yeah, who doesn't love a good prank or two?
Exactly. It's that day every year, April 1st, where everyone seems to be on high alert, waiting for the next joke or trick to be played.
It's become a global phenomenon, hasn't it?
It really has, and that's what's got us so intrigued. I mean, where did this tradition of pranks and tomfoolery actually come from?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The origins are a bit of a mystery, shrouded in centuries of folklore and speculation.
A mystery with some pretty fun clues, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got some excellent research lined up that dives into the most prevalent theories and really explores how this tradition evolved over time and maybe even more importantly, why it's stuck around for so long.
So we're going to try and uncover the roots of April Fool's Day, figure out how it spread across the world, and maybe even get a glimpse into what makes this day of playful chaos so universally appealing.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so let's start with what seems to be the most popular theory, the one that points to a calendar change in France way back in the 16th century.
Right, the calendar change theory. It's
Yeah.
one of the most widely accepted explanations, and it takes us back to 1582, when France decided to switch from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar.
A pretty big change, I imagine, especially back then.
Definitely. It was a huge shift in how people track time. You know, before the change, New Year's Day was celebrated around April 1st.
Okay, so imagine waking up one day and bam, New Year's is no longer in spring.
Exactly. And not everyone got the memo right away.
Yep.
Communication wasn't quite as instant back then.
So you had some folks still celebrating the New Year in April, while others had already moved on to January 1st.
Exactly. And those who stuck to the old April New Year celebration, well, they became the target of some good-natured ribbing.
I can see that happening. People probably thought they were a bit behind the times, right?
That's the idea. They were labeled April Fools, seen as out of touch with the new calendar.
Ah, so that's where the name comes from.
It seems so. And it suggested that this mocking eventually evolved into the tradition of playing pranks on those April Fools.
Interesting. So a change in the calendar might have inadvertently given birth to a day of global pranks. It's almost poetic in a way.
It is kind of a funny twist of history, but, the urge to play a little trick on someone that probably goes back a lot further than the 16th century.
You're right. Our research actually suggests some ancient and medieval roots that hint at a much longer history of playful deception.
Let's rewind the clock even further and see what we can find. One fascinating example is the Roman festival of Hilaria.
Hilaria. The name itself sounds kind of mischievous. What was that all about?
It was a festival held around March 25th, and it was all about joy, merriment, and you guessed it, pranks.
No way. The Romans were into April Fool's Day style shenanigans.
It seems so. They'd wear disguises, mock each other, and play all sorts of tricks. It really does sound like an early version of what we do today.
So this idea of sanctioned trickery, it's been around for centuries.
Exactly. And it's not just the Romans. We also see echoes of this in the medieval period with the Feast of Fools.
The Feast of Fools. Now that sounds like it was pure chaos.
It was a time for turning the social order upside down. Imagine clergy members poking fun at their superiors and a general atmosphere of revelry and role reversal.
Wow, talk about letting loose. But it makes you wonder what purpose these festivals served.
Maybe it was a way to blow off some steam in societies that were otherwise pretty rigid, a chance to indulge in a little bit of harmless chaos.
That makes sense. It's like saying, okay, for one day a year, we can bend the rules and have some fun.
Exactly. And it seems like this underlying human need for playful disruption, this desire to turn things on their head for a little while, it's been around for ages. And maybe the calendar change in France simply provided a new outlet for it.
So we've got these potential links to ancient festivals and this theory about a calendar mix-up. But there's another intriguing idea that our research mentions, the unpredictable nature of spring itself.
Ah, yes, spring. That time of year when the weather can't seem to make up its mind.
Sun one minute, rain the next. It's like nature is playing its own tricks on us.
Exactly. And some believe that this very unpredictability of spring might have influenced the development of April Fool's Day.
I never thought about it that way. But it does make sense. Spring is all about change and unexpected turns.
Right, and so maybe early humans saw those sudden shifts in weather as nature's way of having a little fun and decided to join in with their own playful deceptions.
So it's not just about tricking each other, it's about mirroring nature's own playful spirit.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So we have this idea that April Fool's Day might be rooted in the whims of nature itself.
It's amazing how many potential threads there are to this story. But let's shift gears a bit. We know that April Fool's Day isn't just a French thing. How did it spread to other parts of the world?
Well, it seems that the tradition gradually made its way across Europe, and as it traveled, different regions added their own unique twists and customs.
Ah, so it's like a cultural game of telephone. The core idea remains the same, but each region adds its own flavor.
It's exactly. Take Scotland, for example. They developed a 2-day event called Hunt the Gauk.
Hunt the Gauk. What on earth is a Gauk?
It's an old Scots word for a fool or a simpleton.
Yeah.
And Hunt the Gauk involves sending people on pointless errands with fake messages.
I can just imagine the chaos running all over town for a non-existent item.
Exactly. And it was a 2-day affair. The second day was called Taily Day, and often involved pranks focused on people's well backsides.
Oh my goodness. They really committed to the prankster spirit. And what about France? Did they have any unique customs that stemmed from that potential calendar change?
They sure did. France is known for Poisson d'Avril, which translates to April fish.
April fish, that sounds adorable. What's the story there?
It's a tradition where people, mostly children, stick paper fish on the backs of unsuspecting victims.
I love that. Such a simple yet effective prank. And what about other parts of Europe? Did they develop their own specific April Fool's Day traditions?
In places like England and other parts of Europe, the focus shifted more towards general trick-playing and hoaxes. Not so much specific customs, but the spirit of April Fool's Day definitely took hold.
So it's like the essence of the day, the idea of playful deception spread far and wide, even if the specific pranks varied.
Precisely. And it's fascinating to see how those regional variations developed and became part of local folklore.
Now let's fast forward to the present day. April Fool's Day has become this massive global phenomenon. It's not just about kids playing harmless pranks anymore, is it?
Not at all. These days, everyone's in on the action, from major corporations to news outlets to individuals. It's become a day of elaborate hoaxes and viral pranks.
It's true. You see companies launching fake products, news organizations broadcasting outlandish stories. It's all in good fun, of course, but the scale of it is incredible.
And technology has played a huge role in amplifying these pranks. A clever hoax can go viral in seconds, reaching millions of people around the world.
It's like the ultimate platform for playful deception. And speaking of memorable pranks, our research highlights some of the most famous April Fool's hoaxes of all time.
Oh yes, there are some real classics,
Yeah,
like Google's annual tradition of tech pranks.
Google's always a good one.
Yeah.
They come up with the most outlandish ideas and somehow make them sound almost believable.
Exactly. Remember Google Knows, the search engine that let you smell things through your computer.
Or Gmail paper, where they offered to print out all your emails and deliver them in physical form.
Those were brilliant. And then there's the BBC's iconic spaghetti tree hoax from 1957.
Ah, yes, the one where they convinced people that spaghetti grew on trees.
They aired a seemingly serious news report about spaghetti harvests in Switzerland, and tons of viewers fell for it.
It's amazing how easily people can be fooled sometimes, especially on April 1st.
It shows the power of a well-crafted hoax. And of course, we can't forget Taco Bell's cheeky stunt, where they claimed to have bought the Liberty Bell.
Oh, right, and renamed it the Taco Liberty Bell Classic.
Something I think a lot of people remember.
Okay.
Google's mic drop from back in 2016.
Oh, yeah.
So this was that Gmail feature. You click a button, it sent your email, and poof,
You did the whole thread?
gone right out of sight, out of mind.
This is funny.
Yeah, like a little digital mic drop. Turns out people were accidentally using this thing in like serious emails.
Job applications, important stuff.
Yeah, like, oh no.
Not the best luck.
So it just shows how even something that seems like just a fun little feature
Right.
can have these huge unintended consequences.
Absolutely.
And I think some people even lost their jobs over it.
Yeah, I think I read that too.
And Google had to like scramble to remove it and apologize.
Definitely a lesson learned there for sure.
Big time. Okay, so switching gears a bit, let's talk about something visual.
Okay.
The BBC's Flying Penguins from 2008.
Flying penguins.
This was a documentary they aired on April Fool's Day.
Oh, right. I think I vaguely remember this.
Penguins flying to the Amazon.
No, come on.
I know, right? It sounds ridiculous.
penguins can't fly.
Exactly. But you know what?
What?
A lot of people believed it.
Really?
Yeah, this just
Yeah.
goes to show how much we trust those big established names.
Like the BBC.
Yeah, even when what they're saying seems totally out there.
Huh. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. Okay, so speaking of visual tricks,
Yeah. Okay.
there was this prank in Alaska back in 1974.
Alaska. Okay.
Someone set a bunch of tires on fire
Tires on fire.
inside a dormant volcano
Inside a volcano.
to make it look like it was erupting.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? And they actually got a Coast Guard helicopter out there to investigate.
I did not.
They did. It just goes to show you how something that seems like a harmless prank
Right.
can turn into a huge deal.
Yeah, when people think there's a real emergency.
Exactly. Okay, so let's move on to a prank that had some pretty serious consequences.
Okay. A little less lighthearted.
Yeah, this is in 2013.
2013.
Some radio host reported that the local water supply was contaminated
Contaminated with what?
with something called dihydrogen monoxide.
Dihydrogen monoxide.
Yeah, scary sounding, right?
Sounds serious.
But it's actually just water.
Oh, wow.
But the way they presented it on the radio
Yeah.
caused mass panic.
People were freaking out.
Yeah, they thought they were being poisoned.
Oh, no.
The radio station ended up getting a huge fine.
It makes sense, though. You can't just go around scaring people like that.
Right, it's a big deal. So let's contrast that with something that didn't involve any actual danger.
Okay.
The Sydney Opera House prank in 1988.
Sydney Opera House.
Yeah, a news station announced that it had been sold to a Japanese company.
Sold what?
The Sydney Opera House.
No way. Seriously.
Yeah, I know, but people were outraged.
I bet they were.
Yeah, it's like a national symbol.
Right.
And the idea of it being sold off just hit a nerve.
Yeah, it's like messing with their identity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then we have the 2009 NASA fake meteor strike report.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about this one.
A German newspaper claimed that NASA was predicting this deadly meteor.
And people were scared.
Yeah, it caused a lot of fear even after it was debunked.
Because initially people believed it.
Right. It shows how powerful those perceived authorities can be.
NASA especially.
Yeah, you see their name and you think, it must be true.
Yeah, and by the time you find out it's not, the damage is done.
Exactly. Okay, so let's end on a lighter note.
Something a bit more fun.
Yeah, remember the YouTube Rickroll takeover in 2008?
Oh, the Rickroll classic.
Every video on the homepage was redirecting to Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up.
Yeah, that was everywhere for a while.
It was annoying, but harmless.
Just a good old internet prank.
Right, it wasn't meant to cause any real harm.
No, just a bit of fun.
So I think what we've seen here is that pranks and hoaxes,
Yeah,
they can be anything from like a little nuisance
right.
to something that has real serious consequences.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to know where the line is.
Exactly. And it makes you think about how we perceive information and how easily we can be misled.
It really does.
So I guess the question for you listening is,
Yeah.
where do you draw the line?
When does a prank go too far?
Exactly what makes a prank ethical or unethical to you?
It's something to think about.
It is, because we encounter this stuff all the time online, in the news, everywhere.
Yeah, so think about where you draw that line and why.
It's become a global tradition that brings people together through laughter and a shared sense of playful mischief.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways about the origins of April Fool's Day?
Well, the exact origins remain a mystery, but we've explored some fascinating possibilities. The calendar change theory, the influence of ancient festivals, the unpredictable nature of spring. It's likely a combination of factors that led to this global celebration of trickery.
And we've seen how the tradition spread across Europe, taking on unique forms in different regions, like Scotland's Hunt the Gauk and France's Poisson d'Avril.
Exactly. And today, April Fool's Day is more popular than ever. It's a testament to our enduring human need for laughter, lightheartedness, and a little bit of harmless chaos.
So to all our listeners, as you navigate this upcoming April Fool's Day, keep your wits about you, embrace the spirit of playful deception, and maybe even try out a new prank or two.
And as you laugh along with the hoaxes and jokes, think about the long and winding history of this tradition and what it reveals about our shared human desire for a little bit of fun and silliness.
So this has been The Truth About Beer and
April Fool's Day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Cheers!
Cheers, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in tonight. And if you hadn't figured it out already, well, that was kind of our April Fool's joke that we had new hosts. But we're not going anywhere. Keith and I will be back next week. Keith is out of town this week, and we thought it might be fun to do something a little different. So there you have it. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and send us a comment, because that always does help. And hope you all had a very safe April Fool's Day and didn't get caught in any real crazy schemes of other foolsters, pranksters, I guess would be the word, but it is fool, so we'll use foolsters. Anyway, love you guys, and we'll see y'all next week.